Madison James. Kelsey Thompson. Quiet. All right, quiet, please. So, we covered chapter 7 last class. There's no group assignment this week. There's a lot of graphs from the last section that you're gonna need for your project, and so that's what we're gonna do on Friday. So if you don't normally bring your computer, you should bring it. That way you can make sure everything's working on your computer, or take good notes and then try it when you get home. But if you have YSU's Excel, then you shouldn't have any problem. Or better. So the homework's only 2 problems, but there are some other linear problems that we might try. Simply because there's some of it on your exam, which isn't for a couple weeks. Go ahead and find the first few and then we'll go over them. There's definitely one of each of these on the exam. How many kilowatt hours is, Wayne's bill this cycle? How do we find it?
Check the.
This is what it read in September, and then in October, it read the 68,000. If we subtract them, that's how much we use. Just think of your car, the miles on your car. It doesn't go back to zero every month or every time you fill it. Your trip thing might, your trip button if you have one, but the total miles does not. So you need to subtract. So the total kilowatt hours were 1,050. It's up to you if you used X and Y or C and K for cost and kilowatt hours. B is your fixed cost. It's also the y-intercept. What was the y-intercept? Look at the bill and look at the part that doesn't have a rate with it. 1052. The other four are multiplied by kilowatt hour, so it's the price per kilowatt hour. So the 1052. So we needed to find the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is the parts that were multiplied by the x. So you could just add all of those up, the four of them. You get 0.54. I left it in dollars. That way, I want to put this in cents and this in dollars. They have to be the same unit. Excuse me, could have had Y and X or C. But Y was the total cost or monthly cost. And K, X or K is kilowatt hours. Any questions? Set the slope. Which is also 54 cents. And we know it's the change in Y. And Y was monthly cost. And X was kilowatt hours. So when you're trying to explain it, writing this helps because you could put this over 1 to make it a fraction. Each kilowatt hour increases, because it's positive, increases the cost by 54 cents. So if it says explain or interpret the slope, that's what you want to do. Any questions on that? Usually all the blanks are a point, but then the explanations are usually 3 to 5, depending on what you're explaining. Y-intercept was the 1052. Now, sometimes, for instance, maybe on your project, it might not make sense, but I still want you to explain it. For instance, there is a rate for the number of rooms a house has and the cost. And each additional cost increases the house when you're selling it. But if there's, because y-intercept is 1x is 0, if there's no rooms, it doesn't make sense to have a cost. And that's okay. Here it makes sense. If you use no kilowatt hours, the monthly cost is $10.52. So sometimes you'll be asked to explain ones and they don't necessarily make sense, but then I know you understand what y-intercept is. Temperature is another one. There can't be no temperature. There's one with ice cream, and the hotter it gets, the more you make in money in ice cream sales. But to have no temperature doesn't necessarily make sense. I usually just use when it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit. That way it's a little easier to understand, but it's not actually 0. It's supposed to be no temperature. 0 works. So you could put 0 there, or you could put no temperature. Any questions on explaining the slope and the y-intercept? This is definitely on the in-class portion of your exam, and it's set up very similar. What is Dwayne's cost this month? How do we find it?
Put in the number of hours used for X.
Put in what you got for your kilowatt hours in for X, because we know X is kilowatt hours. Or if you use K, it's a little easier, you know, it goes right there where the K is. But it goes in for X, and it was 1058. I think $581 and some cents. Any questions on that? Yes,
So why do we put the 1058 for X?
we knew he used 1,058 kilowatt hours. And so our equation gives us total cost. And so if we plug that in for X, it'll give us the total cost. We could also find it by taking the 1,058 times each of these, because it says times your kilowatt hours. add that up and then add the 1052 on. So that equation will give you the cost at any time. Also, if you know you can't spend over a certain amount, if you need to budget it, then you can plug it in for Y and see how many kilowatt hours you can use. And if you look at your electric bill, gas bill, water bill, that equation is on there. Any questions on that? Did that answer your question? Any other questions? Answer questions below using the tax chart. And this one's married filing separately. If Dirk Bentley makes 180,000 in album sales this year, how much will he pay in taxes? So find out what bracket he's in and then figure out how much he'll owe. What bracket is he in? This one? You want to see where the 180,000 is. This one's definitely too low, 38,000, 82, 150, it's still past that. Right in here, 180,000 is between these two numbers. So it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bracket. Or the 5th row. Then you just follow what this tells you. $32,089.50 plus 32% of the amount over 157,500. So you need to find out how much it went over. So it said $32,089.50 plus 32% of, and we write it as a decimal. The amount that went over 157,500. If we subtract these, we know how much went into that bracket. You only pay tax on that part of it. You pay tax on more, but 32% is only on what went over. Are you getting 39,000 and some dollars for the total? Any questions on that? Does everyone understand the table and how to read it? There's a lot of different ones. Not all of them have this nice and set up for you. You have to find each one, so be careful of that if you're looking at other tables online. Any questions? Okay, it's under the outlines, linear practice problems. Because we're going to also get into exponential problems, and then there'll be one of each on your exam. So this would be good to mark study for exam. Some students want to order shirts with their school logo. One company charges $9.65 per shirt, plus a setup fee of $43. Another company charges $8.40 per shirt, plus a $58 fee. Write the linear equation for each. Linear means y equals mx plus b. So one of those values for each will be the slope and the y-intercept. Remember that the slope has the rate of change. Yes. This does not need to be turned in for a grade. I wanted to attach it, but I didn't, so. But I didn't think I did enough of them. So for this one, you could use C and then S for shirts, but my S's look like 5, so I definitely wouldn't use S's. X and Y is fine. One company charges $9.65 per shirt. So is that the slope or the y-intercept? Because it's a rate, it's a cost per shirt. Which means the $43 is the fixed cost. It's a setup fee. No matter how many you make, you're gonna have that starting fee, $43. Second company charges $8.40 per shirt, which means then that's the rate. And a setup fee of $58. Any questions on that? If you're purchasing 50 shirts, how much will it cost from the two companies? How would we find out? Where would we put the 50 in? X. We want to put it into each of them and see the difference. Are you getting 525, 50 for the first one? And $470 for the second. So the first one is the better price. Oh, sorry, yes. Is the better price. How would we find part C? For what number of shirts would the cost be the same? I hear whispers, but I don't hear answers. How would we find out when they're both the same? Set them equal to each other. They're both solved for y, so we could just set the two equations equal to each other. And solve. Get the variables to one side, the constants to another. So we could subtract the 43. If you could also subtract the 8.4 at the same time, that's fine with me. If you can do it without writing the minus 43 on both sides, that is also fine. I usually go like this and then subtract them. On a test, show as much work as you can, so I know if you make a careless mistake. We're still trying to get X, which is the number of shirts by itself. Since this is multiplied, we divide. So when we are creating or printing 12 shirts, they're the same price. Any questions on that? Mrs. Travis wants to have a clown deliver balloons to her secretary's office. Clowns are fun, charges $1.25 per balloon and $6 delivery. Singing balloons charges $1.95 per balloon and $2 per delivery. Write the two linear equations. C for cost and B for balloon. Or X and Y. For the two equations, are you getting, for the clowns are fun, Y equals $1.25 X plus 6? And then $1.95 X plus 2? So then for part B, we want to know the price for 20 balloons. You plug 20 in, did you get 31? So since it just wanted the number of balloons, I mean the cost for 20 balloons. You just plug in. X was the number of balloons, so we plug in for X. Any questions on that? What is the minimum number of balloons Mrs. Travis needs to purchase in order for Clowns R Us to have a lower price than singing balloons? So rather than being the same price, they want them lower. So instead of an equal sign, what could we use? Less than. We wanted which one? Clowns R Us to be lower. Oh, would you subtract the 6 or the 2? I like to work with negative numbers. You could keep it all positive, but then your variable is going to be on the opposite side. I'm going to keep the variable on the left so you can see what happens when you divide by a negative. You have an inequality and you're dividing both sides by a negative number. What happens to the inequality? Anyone? It flips. So you need to be careful of that. Because we're dividing both sides by a negative. Subtracting doesn't matter, but multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative flips your inequality. So she needs to buy more than 6 balloons, or 6 balloons would actually do it because this is 5.7. So if she sold 6 balloons. Any questions on that? Positive. Jerome was offered a sales job at Trugree. He would make $300 a week plus 20% on his sales. Write an equation giving his weekly salary. Okay, is the $300 the slope or the y-intercept? Because it's 20% of his sales, this is a rate. So the $300. So when he's figuring out how much sales he makes, or if he makes one more sale, how much more he will make, he can plug it into here. To explain the slope, probably easier with the percent rather than the decimal. So Y, which is sales. Oh no, Y is income, salary. Might want to use this. Trying to think the easiest way to explain it. Might even be better cents. Because it's your salary. $1, 20% of a dollar would be 20 cents. So each additional dollar increases your salary by 20 cents. So I knew it was 20%. 20% of a dollar is 20 cents. That way then I was in the same units. But I wouldn't take off as long as you're putting this up by a dollar. And you could even go higher than that. If he's selling lawn care, probably a sale, he only sells one application, $50. The y-intercept is when x is 0. X is sales. So if he doesn't make any sales for the week, you're gonna get a check for $300. Once you take out all the taxes, not much. But any questions on that? How much does he need to make in sales to make $1,000 for the week? We're looking for sales, which we said was X. We are making $1,000 for the week. So you plug it in for Y because Y is the amount of sales for the week, the income. I'm not sure what it is now, but when I worked at True Green, this is what the sales. Hopefully it's higher than that now. But they could make sure what they needed to sell each week so that they made what they needed to pay all their bills. So in order to make $1,000 for the week, they need to sell $3,500 in lawn care. Any questions on that? Okay. I will see you on Friday. Bring your technology if you don't normally bring it, if you can. Mark the attendance sheet.